Well, there we have it. Another week has come and gone. This weekend is Memorial Weekend. First and foremost, let's just take a moment to remember the true meaning of this holiday weekend. A lot of people want to get out and enjoy time in the yard, grill out, go fishing, have a barbecue with the neighbors, whatever it might be. But remember, please, that this weekend means a lot more than just a free weekend to hang out with family and friends. We remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice so we can have all these freedoms, especially this lovely sport of fishing. So from the Memorial Day holiday, please take a moment at some point and reflect and say a little thank you to those who allow us to have this opportunity. So that being said, another week, we are in full bass mode here at the Johnson house. Today, or I should say yesterday, this weekend was the first official day of bass fishing. We had a catch and release season for the last couple of weeks since the fishing opener, but this is the actual official Minnesota bass opener. Now, I'm not ever really keeping any bass, so it doesn't apply to me as much, but anglers have been able to now keep a largemouth bass if they choose to. Just make sure you monitor your limits, all that kind of stuff. Be respectful, practice selective harvest, all that good stuff. Myself, they're all going back in the water. I'll catch them another time, hopefully when they're bigger, right? So this entire week's been strictly bass fishing for us as we move into things. We found some cool patterns. We are pretty much on track. Water temps in the mid 60s here in the Twin Cities. We found temps anywhere from 63 to upwards of 68 degrees. I have not seen anything that's 70. Now, take that into account that I haven't gone way back into these cuts anymore. Some of these same cuts that we crappie fished the last several weeks could be in the 70s, but I have not gone back there. I've been fishing main lake stuff, shallow bays. What these bass are doing is they're setting up, and some are already set up on the spawn. Some have even, depending on what you hear and what you see, may have already done some spawning, but a lot of these bass are setting up for the spawn. They're right in those inside weed lines. They're moving along nicely on some lakes that I've found, and I'm going to talk to you how I'm catching them. Some lakes I found fish still staging, moving up to spawn. Very heavy, very healthy fish, still on that first immediate break line in, let's say, 4 to 10 feet of water. But these are the same fish that are moving into spawn and do that kind of stuff. So we're targeting, for the most part, similar type of fish. It's the time of the year where that's where it is. Everything's happening under 10 feet of water for the most part. Everything's shallow, whether you're catching pike, whether you're catching bass. A lot of our walleyes we've caught over the last week or two have been shallow. We've caught muskies, which this weekend was the Wisconsin muskie opener. So if that's your thing, you head east not too far and you can target muskies now, which is awesome. And we're very close to the Minnesota muskie opener, which is not yet. You can't legally target muskies in Minnesota quite yet, but it's coming. We're not that far away. But going back to the bass side of things, that's what we focused on. We've caught fish on chatterbaits, swim jigs, swim baits. We've caught fish on soft plastics like wacky rigs, things like that. But one thing we've really keyed in on the last few days, which has given us our big bite, is a Ned rig. The Ned rig has become something that most anglers use all the time. If you follow Brett McComas, he's one of the walleye dudes, right? Actually, I'll give Brett credit. He's a phenomenal bass angler too. But if you follow the one and only Brett McComas on Target Walleye and that sort of stuff, you'll see that he's been using Ned rigs to catch walleyes. It's a very versatile presentation. It does catch everything. Bass, large and small, walleyes, pike, which eat everything. If you go down south, in southern part of the country, they're using Ned rigs to catch crappies. I'd love that. They're giants. But up here, we're using them to catch bass. And there's so many different ways to fish a Ned rig. I'm going to show you just a couple ways that we rig Ned rigs, and then some altercations to some of the baits you probably already have in your boat to turn a jig worm or a modified jig worm into a Ned rig. We'll show you that. But that's been the key thing. We've been fishing those really slow. We've been fishing them on rods with anything from 10 to 20 pound braid as a main line, and then we're using an 8-ish pound fluorocarbon leader tying right to the Ned rig. And that's been a great way to catch these bass. We can throw it out there a long ways, whether it's windy, whether it's not windy. I can hop it around some cover. I can fish it on the deeper weed line. I can fish it all sorts of ways. And I'll fish a Ned rig throughout the entire summer and even into the fall months. Like I said, it's a very versatile presentation. So that's how we're catching some of our bigger bites the last couple days, is on a Ned rig. Even in 5, 6, 7, 8 feet of water, we've been fishing a Ned rig. And my go-to, and I'll show you what I've been catching most of mine on, is on this brand new Ned Ringer, and I'll show you this bait again. I think we talked about it in the past piece, the Ned Ringer, and you can see that thing. It's just a small little 3-inch profiled, ribbed bodied Ned head or Ned plastic with a little tail and a ball on the end. Small thing, here it is in my hand. It's not that big, right? That's a Ned rig. So that's called the Ned Ringer from Mr. Twister. That's new, and this just happens to be a VMC jig head. VMC or a Z-Man. There's a variety of different options. Just little Ned rig head that works on this sort of thing. So that's that new Ned Ringer from Mr. Twister. That's been getting us bit. Our 3 biggest bass the last 2 days have come on this exact presentation. Chartreuse head, green pumpkin body. If you're local, you know why that works, but that is one hot color. So that's one version of the Ned rig. This is Brody's rod. He was whooping up on this. This is actually the Sam Sobey Special from Dobbins. My 8-year-old, well, I should say 9-year-old now, soon to be, uses this Sam Sobey Special and absolutely loves it. That's his favorite rod. He'd probably be mad if I was touching it right now, but that's okay. How we caught a lot of our fish as well, we take the all-terrain Mighty Head. This is Jack's setup. Jack is using a Rain Shadow 7'3" Thorne Brothers custom. Look how beautiful that rod is. Nice handle on there. And we're using a 2500 Vanford, Shimano Vanford he's fishing. And we're using that neon Suffix 832 braid. This is 20 pound for him, and we got that fluorocarbon leader on there. This is an 8 or 10 pound fluorocarbon leader. And he's putting on a Mighty Head, an all-terrain Mighty Head. And then I'll show you the receiving end of this. And what he's done, he's taken that Lake Fork ring fry, and he took, oh boy, about an inch and a half off the top, right? So there's your jigworm head. This is your Mighty Head, which a lot of anglers fish with a ribbon tail worm, with a jigworm, with a Senko, a Kamita, something to that effect. And what he's done is he's just taken that ring fry and took some off and threw it on there. Now he's got himself a Ned rig. And he caught some big fish on this as well. So a lot of cool ways you can fish this. And I'm going to show you some altercations to how I'm fishing this as well. So let's say we have just the head on there. Take that off. So that there is a Mighty Head, if you know, I'm sure what I'm talking about. Your typical jigworm head, right? So let's say you have your favorite stick bait. This is the Mr. Twister Kamita. It's a Senko style bait, right? This is going to be watermelon chartreuse, which is a very good color, by the way, especially here in the Twin Cities. In fact, oftentimes it's one of my go-tos. One side's watermelon, one side's chartreuse. It looks pretty cool in the water, right? So as you would fish this as a jigworm, right? You can just thread this entire thing on, correct, right? You've all seen that. There's your jigworm. That goes down pretty quick. Now, if you want to fish this as a net head, what you do is you just rip 2 inches off of this thing. Now I have a 3-inch chunk of plastic, right? We're not overthinking this. And I'm just gonna thread this bad boy all the way up onto the hook. Similar to what Jack just did with that ring fry, right? Now, I have myself a Ned rig. This would work very effectively right now as well to catch these largemouth bass, because I can fish this quick. I can throw it around a dock. I can fish it through cover. I can fish it on the outside weed line. I can fish transitioning fish. I can fish aggressive fish. I can fish negative fish. You get the point. So that's one way to fish that. And there you have it. That's your Ned rig. That's kind of how we're targeting these fish right now, so that we can fish various mood types, is what I've seen lately. Is sometimes they want it quick and they'll hit the chatterbait and they'll hit other things. Other times I can see them on my active target. They're there. It's very apparent, and we have to slow down. That's where the Ned rig comes into play. And I'll tell you what, when a big bass crushes a Ned rig and pop, you feel that bite and you know it's there and you just give it to it, it's a tough feeling to imitate. It's a lot of fun. So that's a way we fish the Ned rig. Various ways to do it. You can get Ned ringers that are already rigged and ready, or already designed as Ned rig plastics, or you can take your Kamita, cut it down, find your favorite color, and make your own Ned rig. There's all kinds of ways to do it. If you walk through the aisles of stores like Thorne Brothers, you'll see they have all kinds of variations, so you can get out there and Ned rig fish. Super common. So now you haven't heard about that technique. I'm sure you have. Now you know what we're doing and some ways we're catching fish on it. So that's been kind of our ticket this week, is how we're catching these fish. I actually honestly think we'll catch them the same way. I'll probably throw a wacky rig a little more, maybe some softer flipping baits, things like that, if I start seeing fish really staging and staying on specific spots on the inside wheel end this week. It's been warm. It hit my kids yesterday. We're outside running around, 85-degree weather on a beautiful Saturday. Today it's getting to almost 80 degrees as well. Friday was really warm. It was on and off. We've seen some rain a little bit last night, and early this morning we saw some rain. We're kind of in that unstable period of time where we're probably going to see some rain tomorrow on Memorial Day as well. And then it looks like it's going to shape up to be a pretty nice week. So the first week of June is welcoming with some beautiful weather. That's awesome. I expect these fish to kind of stay in the same area. We're probably going to switch gears just a hair, maybe next weekend, and look for some bluegills. Try and target some big bluegills. I love the first part of June and get them big bowls. But again, remember, selective harvest. Let these fish go. Have fun catching them. Let them go, and try not to spend your entire day targeting these fish on their beds. Believe it or not, it can harm the fishery if you're not careful. So just kind of pay attention to that kind of stuff. Enjoy the time. Enjoy the shallow water bite. That's where most of the fish are. It's a fun time of year to get out there and catch them. So that's kind of what we're seeing right now. Focusing heavily on bass this week. You saw the way we're catching them. I'm going to probably fish them the similar way the next week as well, and have a whole lot of fun. So bye-bye May. The next time I see you, it'll be June already, and here we go. We're going to be jumping into summer patterns before we know it. So enjoy the rest of your Memorial Weekend holiday. Be safe, have fun, stay healthy, and we'll catch you next week.